Hi, first graders. It's Miss Vanderhoff. I'm so excited that we'll be doing writing together again this week. So last week we wrote a story. My story was Friend Trouble at the Playground. So if you remember, we made a plan first, and then we worked together to write the story, and we taught an author's message through it. And so this week, our learning target is we're going to plan a new realistic fiction story using the same characters. So we invented some characters last week, and we're going to turn this into a series. A series is where you have the same characters, and they are put in different situations with different problems, and they have to solve their problems in over several different books. So we started our first book in the series, and today we're going to write the second book. We're going to start the second book in our series. So I'm going to show you. Last week we talked a lot about making an author's message for our story, and so I shared this with you last Monday about common themes and author's messages in realistic fiction stories. And so last week we learned that a theme means the big idea that a story is mostly about. And an author's message is a lesson that the author is trying to teach the reader that's related to the theme. And usually it's a lesson that the characters learn by solving their problems. So if you remember last week in my story, Friend Trouble at the Playground, I chose the theme of friendship. I chose this third option. When a friend plays with someone else, it doesn't mean that they like you any less. Friends can play with other people and still stay friends. So that's what our story was about last week. For our story this week, I was thinking of choosing a story about honesty. So I was going to use this first author's message about honesty. It's always best to be honest, even when telling the truth will get you in trouble. So I was thinking I'd take the same characters as last week. I had Amber. If you guys remember Amber, she was my main character that got upset that her best friend Michaela wanted to play with somebody else. And so I'm going to bring Amber and Michaela into the same story, and I'm also going to add in Amber's sister Ellie. I told you in our first story that Amber had a sister named Ellie, but we didn't really talk about her, so I thought I could maybe show that character a little more in this story. So as we're planning, you can either use this planning sheet that I made for you. I told you I don't have a printer at my house, so I'm just doing it on paper. So either way works. You can either print this paper at home, or you can just get a blank sheet of paper. But the main things we're going to include in our plan, we're going to think of an author's message. What lesson do we want to teach? You're going to invent your characters, and they should be the same, mostly the same characters you used last week. Maybe you can add one new character in, like I'll do, but some of the characters should be the same. Think of a setting. Where and when does the story take place? And then we think about what the problem or conflict will be. What's going to be the problem that when they solve it, they're going to learn the lesson. And then a few things they try to solve the problem that doesn't work. And then the final solution or resolution when they solve the problem and learn their lesson. All right, so I am going to show my paper so that we can start planning my second story together. And then after I plan my story, I hope that you will plan your story today too. All right, give me a moment to get the camera started up. And by the way, I shared that list of themes and authors' messages, but you can also make up your own. It doesn't have to be something off that list. You can definitely use that list if you're having trouble thinking of one, but you could also think of your own. There's lots of lessons. I only wrote a couple of them on that list. All right, so I got Rashid here. He's going to help us write today. And I got my plan. Now I started writing it about the characters. Since I'm using the same characters, I already know some of that already. And I'll leave the title for the end because I got to think about what the story is going to be before I can decide on that. All right, so first, an author's message. So I told you I wanted to pick an honesty one. So I'm going to say, it's always best to be honest. It's always best to be honest, even when it gets you in trouble. I know that's a reason a lot of people don't want to be honest because they're worried about getting in trouble, but it's always best to be honest. And even if it's going to get you in trouble, it's best to be honest first. All right, so I've got my message that I want to teach. So I got to think about what can my characters do in my story? What could the problem be that by the end of the story they learn this lesson, that it's always best to be honest even when it gets you in trouble. All right, so developing my characters. I already started writing because I had already thought, here's my plan from the week, Friend Trouble at the Playground. And I had already kind of thought about how I'd make my characters. Amber and Michaela, her best friend, and then Rachel, who Michaela went to play with. And Rachel's not going to be in the story. I'm just going to keep Amber and Michaela the same. Then I'm going to also introduce Amber's sister, Ellie. So we know about Amber already. She's 7 years old. She's in first grade. She likes baking. She has an older sister named Ellie, so we're going to meet Ellie in the story. And she's best friends with Michaela. And down here we have Michaela, Amber's best friend, also 7 years old, and she's in the same class as her. So now I got to think about what Ellie's going to be like. I know she's the older sister. Maybe she'll be 10 years old. 10 years old, and she's Amber's sister. And I was thinking of an idea. Maybe she's going to be really good at soccer, because I was thinking the thing to be honest about, I was thinking maybe Amber might break something of Ellie's. So maybe Ellie is really good at soccer and has a soccer trophy, and maybe Amber accidentally breaks it. So I'll say that she's really good at soccer. And so let's see, she's 10 years old, she's Amber's sister, she's good at soccer. And all right, so I have my characters. And so the setting, last time my setting was at school and it was in the playground at recess, but this one, since it's about Amber and her sister, I'm thinking it's at their house. So I'm thinking it's at Amber's house. And I think it's like after school, and maybe Michaela came over to play at Amber's house after school, since Michaela's going to be there too. And I'm thinking Amber and Michaela are going to be playing at the house after school, and maybe Ellie, since she plays soccer, maybe she's at soccer practice. So that's why she's not going to be home, maybe when Amber accidentally breaks her trophy. All right, so I've already thought out what my problem or conflict is going to be, and I want this problem to lead us to the lesson about being honest. So I have to think of a problem that she'd want to lie about, and then later on she has to learn to be honest. So I'm thinking about breaking something. So Amber and Michaela accidentally break Ellie's soccer trophy. All right, so here's our problem. That's a big problem. Amber and Michaela accidentally break Ellie's soccer trophy. I bet she'd be really upset about that. So they're thinking, what are their attempts to solve the problem before they actually solve it? So these are things that are not going to work. And then when we get over here, this is going to be the thing that finally works, where they learn the lesson. So I'm thinking, if I was 7 years old, if I broke something and I was worried about getting in trouble, maybe first I try to fix it myself. So maybe they try to glue it back together. But maybe the glue doesn't hold, it doesn't work. And then maybe after that doesn't work, maybe they try hiding it. They really don't want her to find out, so they try hiding it. So maybe they hide it in a drawer or something. And then maybe that's how Ellie will find it. Maybe they hid it in her drawer, and when she goes to get clothes out of her drawer, she sees it, maybe. So then the final solution, well, maybe she won't find it. I think it's good for Amber and Michaela to come forward on their own and say it instead of Ellie finding it. So in the end, I think what's going to be the lesson is that they learn that they should go to Ellie and admit what they did. So that's the final resolution is going to be Amber and Michaela. Admit. Admit means saying I did it. So admit that they broke it and apologize. All right, so I think we have a good plan. Now, we need to think of a title. So a title for our story could be maybe like the trophy disaster, since they broke a trophy. All right, the trophy disaster, another in the Amber and Michaela series. So I have my plan ready to go. I know what my author's message is. I know my characters. I know the setting. And I know what the problem is, what they're going to do to try to solve the problem, and then the final resolution that's going to teach them the lesson. So now that I have my plan ready tomorrow I'm going to start writing the story. So I hope that today, when you start your writing, you think about the characters that you wrote about last week and take those same characters, maybe add one new character like I did, and then think about a message you want to teach through your story and plan out the problem and how they're going to solve the problem, plan out all the parts of your story. And tomorrow we'll start writing. I'll see you guys tomorrow where we write our story. Bye.